Yes.
Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you for hosting me, and I'm really glad to be part of this presentation. As Grover said, my name is James, and I'm a tour operator in Kenya, and I run safaris. My safaris are all privatized, and I work with individuals, families, and groups when they come to Kenya. I arrange for their accommodation, for their transport, and areas they visit. Now, depending on what their interests are, that will dictate what I'll arrange for them. The first thing that I always ask is how long someone wants to be in the country, their interest, and the budget while on trip. Sometimes we have guests who just want to have private programs for their immediate families, and that's I work with them on a day-to-day basis. That includes phone calls, WhatsApp, and emails. Get a clear view or a clear picture as to exactly what my guests are looking for, which is very, very important. Now, some of the things that I try and look for is accommodation that meets the standards of my guests that are coming in. Some like small private areas, some like big areas, and some like mixed areas. Some like what you call glamping. These are pretty much tents, but when you go inside one of them, it doesn't look like a tent. It's more like a very, very, like a five-star hotel, to be precise. So with that, I arrange the arrival, pick up from the airport to the hotel, arrange for the safaris to the different parts of the country, which actually include guiding services for me and for the group. How does that work out? It works out in the sense that once I get any inquiry, it all starts from there, as I said, depending on the number of days, the interest, and the number of people who are coming in. And my services include everything. I mean, everything to the point whereby the only thing that you need to actually worry about when you get to the country is any gifts for your families or friends, or maybe souvenirs for your personal self. At least everything else is included from the transport, accommodation, and entrance to their respective areas. Now, one of the things that I pride myself for doing is I try and introduce my guests to local people. And this came about because I noticed in my early years that I was employed, very few operators wanted to engage their guests with local people. And through that, the guests never really got to understand the local culture, the local people, the local dialects, the local meals, the local education standards, just everything local was pretty much hidden away from the guests. They got to stay in five-star hotels, um, hotels that you could get anywhere in the world, like in France or the US. But for me, I wanted to bring people down to the ground and share with them what the country really has to offer. I would drive through small towns, would stop in markets, and sometimes to buy fruits as we engage the local population. And through that, there was a sense of belonging, a sense of understanding what a country actually lives for. As Grover says, for one to understand that people, you have to be among them. Bring yourself to the village level. People in the city tend to have what we call a broader look at lifestyle, but when you get to the village level, people give you their day-to-day life. It gives you a different perspective as to how people in different parts of the world live. So I think I've pretty much covered some of the areas that I take care of. And one of the things that I also try and do very much is I try and actually have groups on a small privatized arrangement. So I'll have families, I'll have friends, or I'll have people who know each other. And the main reason for that is people who travel, they like hanging around people they know. And through that, avoid argument on trips. They avoid a lot of issues. But what they do is they have a lot of fun time because like a family traveling to a different direction, a different destination. And the,
James, while the video is going on, because we're having a sound problem, tell us about where we are in Kenya. And oh, here we go. We're at the center. So tell us a little bit about the
Wait,
video. Yeah.
Meninga.
Menengai crater. The country itself has a different varied landscape. It takes 1 hour to drive from a grassland to mountain areas to what you call craters or calderas. Now, what you're seeing in front of us is actually in the Rift Valley. And for those who know about history, the Rift Valley is what you call the origin of mankind. And what you see in front of you is a crater. And in the crater, there are a couple of things that try and share early settlement, early man, their hunting stuff and hunting the lifestyle. So what we're doing, what we're seeing now is the central part of the country, which is more mountainous and very green. And that is the area I believe, and I know that Grover and his friend were stationed, or rather had their project. They were trying to shift the big ranches from the early settlers, the local community after independence, which we gained in 1963. So the picture you see in front of you is actually at the crater rim overlooking. And if you look under the crater rim, there is actually stuff like smoke. That is geothermal. And one of the things that's going on pretty big in that area. On the right-hand side, lower side, you'll see like, if you look at the right-hand side, you've got like a smoke. All those are geothermal, and they're digging the grounds to try and get green energy. As a country, we're trying to go green. A lot of the green stuff they're trying to look for is geothermal. And it's an area that's very, very big for that. Geothermal energy. And I believe that is Grover.
Yeah, that's it. By the way, what you're looking at is you can view that crater from where I lived as a Peace Corps volunteer. And if you want to see the whole video, if you go to my book website, it's called Jackson's with an S bookjournal.com, and you can see the whole video and a lot more, including the church that a friend of mine who's a Kenyan was studying here in America. I went back home and I support him, his ministry, and he asked me to bring the service that Sunday morning. So his name is Isaac, but he's a great man there. He's in Nebraska, and James took us to his church and took a lot of videos and merged them together, and I took some, we merged them together. And so what you see is a combination of James and my videos taken on an iPhone, or mine was anyway.
I think it's great. Yeah.
James, do you know of a place called Lolokitok? Lolokitok?
Tokitok, yes.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Tokitok is a Maasai word. It's a small town at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro. On Kenya. The local population out there are the Maasais. Side, and on the Tanzanian side, known as the Chaga, who are more like naturalists. So Lojoto more of agriculture on one side and cattle ranch on the other side. Very, very town.
Okay. A friend of mine who's from Kenya asked me to ask you about that. You know, I didn't know anything about it. Yeah. So what's the largest size or group that you could cater to?
Again,
what's the largest size? What's the largest group that you feel like you can adequately cater to?
Sure.
The group that I've ever done personally was 75 people. Actually, more of a church mission group that came over, and they came to do mission in different parts of the country. So what I did for them was the logistics for accommodation and transport to the different areas they were trying to minister their programs. And then, of course, I've done quite a number of colleges, students that come over for 3 months to the semester from the US. So they'll come for 3 months, they learn, and then they get credits for their class. They're given credits for their exams when they get back to the US. So anything from 75 downwards, I've done quite a number of them.
So from a tour view, say just a tour, maybe 2 weeks, what's the average size, or with the type of size, what size would you prefer?
In terms of, it all depends on exactly what they're doing. Like sometimes you have students who come for their semester. That could be anything based on how many they are in the school. But on average, when I do my programs, which are what called regular programs, there are 2 vehicles, and each vehicle is about 6. I try to make it about 12.
Okay,
12 is a very good that people gel very, very well. But again, as I said, it's a question of what requests I get. Schools tend to have anything from 50 to 75.
okay. Can't hear you. No,
Okay,
Can you
clear.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Now
How
we
many-
can.
In the group, who wants to go to Kenya? Okay,
I want to go back.
so I will be sharing with you the video. It's a 2 hour. How long is the video, Grover? 2
2 hours,
hours?
18 minutes.
I'll share the video with
It's
you.
broken up in the sequences, so you don't have to watch 2 hours, 18 minutes all at once. You can
With
see.
my new subscription with Constant Contact, thanks to Grover. So we can reach 40,000 people now. So we will be sharing the video. So look for the link and click on it. And then what I want to do with James is virtual safari with him. So we'll get the technology to work. Next time we'll have a safari. What do you think?
Sounds like a winner.
Okay,
Thank,
awesome.
thank you, James. I really appreciate you being with us. And we're looking to make the connections with you in Kenya. And also, I'd love to see some of the local as well as large farms there. Like to see what kind of agriculture is growing and what kind of exports lead to the agriculture. So let's talk about that and see what we can actually do. So you're a prince, man. You know, keep doing what you do. We thank you for what you do. And let's keep talking, okay?
Now, Jerry Buck, you make the most sound on this computer. So can we hear you, Jerry? Jerry, can we see you? Can you turn your video on, Jerry?
Oh, he's stepped away.
Okay, Jerry,
Okay.
he stepped away.
Yeah,
All right,
do that.
because his computer is making the most sound.
Okay. So,
Okay.
so we would be remiss if we didn't let you speak to and hear from our Frederick Douglass Press representative, as she has been on the phone